Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. And look who I've bumped into randomly in the lobby of the hotel. The man himself, the legend himself, Mr. Dave Higgins. Dave, how are we?
We're good, thank you, Razza. It's good to be back in the United Kingdom. It's like our second home, and you guys are doing a wonderful job.
How's your stay been in this lovely hotel so far?
Look, the hotel's fine. You know, it's better than some hotels you get put in boxing. The weather hasn't been great. I think it rained 8 days in a row when I first got in. And, you know, we came out of summer in New Zealand. But, you know, I can't complain. Like, we're privileged to have an opportunity to be here to fight, Derek Chisora, and so no complaints.
Dave, I want to go back to a couple of years ago when Joseph was not aligned with Eddie Hearn, and we were trying to make the Anthony Joshua fight, and there was all sorts of circles going on. I remember you calling random press conferences in New Zealand. How's the change been? I know you're heavily still involved in Joseph's career, but obviously Eddie promotes him now. How's that change been for yourself in allowing Eddie to control some of the things that you used to do?
Look, to be honest, what I do is pretty much the same now as it was then. When I was the promoter for Joseph Parker, I'd identify fight opportunities for him. I'd negotiate that fight opportunity and try to get the best deal possible for him. I do the same thing now as manager. So in this case where Matchroom are promoting, I'm working with Matchroom to negotiate the best deal I can for Joseph Parker. And Matchroom are a great team and they're great to work with.
I know that relationship with Eddie was always, you know, it was a laugh and a joke at times. Obviously serious when it needed to be, but how's the relationship with Eddie? Has that changed?
Oh, look, Eddie's a very busy man running numerous events all over the world. So I kind of know not to bother someone when they're, you know, I'm not ringing him every day because he's got a lot on his plate. Like if we're fighting for a unification bout, I'll be dealing with Eddie a lot. But otherwise, I kind of tend to leave him alone. But we're cordial, you know. I think he does a wonderful job. They're building a global business that will go down in history as probably the biggest, greatest boxing promotion company. They're providing opportunities in this COVID pandemic that other promoters may not. They pay their bills. So we're grateful to be part of it.
Is he your friend now?
Yeah, I'm friendly with him. Like we were never enemies. You know, the Joshua fight. Yeah, I was calling out Anthony Joshua, having a go at him to build up the fight. But there was never. I wouldn't say Eddie and I were ever on bad terms.
We're obviously here for a reason and a purpose, and it's the rematch. It's Derek Chisora, or well, rather Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. Why did you feel like Joseph had to give or wanted to give Derek the rematch when he won the previous fight, whether it was close or not?
So he didn't have to give him a rematch, and in terms of wanting to give him a rematch, he's indifferent. You take the best opportunity, and so Joseph, we think he won a very close fight, and you know, a lot of people wouldn't do the rematch, but it's stacked up as the best opportunity in this COVID pandemic in terms of the risk and the return. And so Joseph thought, rather than sit around, why not keep busy, give Derek a rematch, and the best man will win. And Joseph hopefully will win it more emphatically, knock him out, and take it out of the judge's hands.
I saw some images of yourself with Joseph's family in the first fight, and the reaction when Derek caught, I think it was 6 seconds or 7 seconds when he caught him, and he went down. What was your reaction then? Because your facial expression was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Look, it was worrying. I mean, big looping overhand thing that clocked Joseph good, and we thought, shit, let's hope he gets up here. It was a worry, but hey, that's heavyweight boxing. Anyone can get knocked out any second of the fight. So Joseph did well to claw his way back through many rounds, and then even at the end, because we were in enemy territory, we weren't sure that the decision would go our way, and so it was a massive relief for Joseph to get the win. I mean, if he didn't, we wouldn't be here. We'd be down in New Zealand wondering what the hell we're going to do next.
I spoke to Derek yesterday, and he said, I'm going to bring war. There's only one way I know how to fight. We saw a number of years ago he fought Dylan Whyte, and it was an absolute, I think it was a 5-year anniversary last week, and it was an absolute tear-up war, one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen for a long, long time. And if we get that version of Derek, is this fight going to be even harder for Joe?
Look, we hope he brings war. We want to be in entertaining matchups. We want to entertain the fans, and we're not concerned by that. If anything, I'd say Joseph's at his best when he's in a dust-up. You saw that with Anthony Joshua when, before the referee pulled Joseph off Joshua in the dust-up, there were signs that Joe might have hurt him or could finish it. So Joseph, in those dust-ups, he sometimes brings it. And, when Dillian Whyte, remember, at the very end, Joseph floored Dillian Whyte, and had the fight had a few more seconds, he might have won that fight. So we're not worried about Chisora bringing that pressure, and I'm sure the guys have prepared for it.
I know you're not looking beyond Derek Chisora, but obviously as his manager and part of his team, you are looking at the opportunities that may arise and the opportunities that you can provide him after this fight. What is the route that you want to take Joe down if he's successful on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think with boxing, because everything changes every day, wins, losses, injuries, you can get the call up out of the blue like Andy Ruiz did against Anthony Joshua. Some people try to be a genius and plan a path, but really, you just got to win the fight in front of you, then reassess. So Joseph should win it emphatically, then we're reassessing. What is the next best step? Joe Joyce would be a pathway that has merit because, he's ranked above Parker in the WBO, and he's so that's one option, but, I'm sure there's various options that will be on the table.
I just want to talk a little bit about the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua took that defeat to Alexander Usyk, a shock to many, but for some hardcore fans it wasn't a shock because we knew how talented Usyk was. They're scheduled to have a rematch which is going to take place sometime in March, April, May. He's been floating around America looking for a potential new trainer and assessing his next move. Do you think he needs a change in trainer, or do you feel like he fought the completely wrong fight with Usyk?
Look, him and the trainer have achieved a lot together, so it's not really for me to comment on needing a new trainer. Like, that's up to them to decide. Has he learnt everything he can from, is it McCracken? And is it time to freshen up or not? That's a decision for them. They have achieved a lot together, I will say that. And in terms of the performance, frankly, Usyk's a better boxer. He's got a more rounded skill set than Joshua, and he always will. Like, he's just a freakish talent. So it's always going to be a tough fight. And Joshua had size advantage. Did he use the size advantage as well as he could have? Maybe not. I mean, you saw what Tyson Fury did to Wilder in the second fight, just bullied the hell out of him. Maybe if Joshua took a more punishing, bullying approach, he might get the win, and then we might see a trilogy. So I think Anthony Joshua is absolutely capable of beating Usyk on his day. Credit to him for going straight back into the rematch. A lot of people might have taken a softer rebuild and the sort of step-aside money, but he's put it all on the line. So, if I had to bet my house on it, I'd probably edge for Usyk winning again, but you never know. And if Joshua brings his A game and uses that size and power, you could see a different fight.
I know the WBC have now called for the mandatory for Dillian Whyte and Fury, which I'm going to come to in a second, but there were initial talks where Joshua did an interview with IFL and he said if the deal was right and it made sense, a step aside deal, he would consider it. And some of the figures that were flowing about were about £40 million, a step aside fee. What do you make of that, and whether he should take that? I know it's a lot of money, but he's clearly said in the past that I want to avenge my loss, I want to become a three-time heavyweight champion. But what do you make of his statement?
So for me, if you're worth a few $100 million, you don't need the money. Then it's about glory and achievement. So Joshua going for the rematch in that context isn't surprising. He doesn't need enough. If you've got 150 million quid or 200 million quid, what's the difference, right? So if it was you or me, we'll take the 40 million quid and step aside because we need the money. So it kind of, again, credit to Joshua for not taking the cash and going into the hard rematch. You know, that's probably the more courageous thing to do.
Dillian Whyte's been waiting for a little while to get this opportunity. We were expected at the WBC convention for them to announce Dillian Whyte as a mandatory. It didn't take place, as the arbitration taking place in the background. That looks like it's been settled and dealt with, and they have called for the teams to negotiate a deal. Eddie's come out and said, we don't know what the split is. Top Rank and Bob Arum are pushing for an 80-20 split, and Eddie thinks that's completely unfair. But what chances do you give Dillian in this fight against Fury?
Again, in heavyweight boxing, anyone can beat anyone. You saw Andy Ruiz Jr. stop Anthony Joshua. So I personally think Fury is probably number one in the world and the most talented. And I think he'd have to have a very bad day or make a bad mistake for Dillian to win what would be a very difficult fight for Dillian. So, but you know, Dillian's a fighter. Like he's one guy that will leave it all in the ring. There's no two ways about it. He comes to fight. He'll throw everything at it. And you know, if he gets put down, I'm sure he'll get back up. And so it's a scrap. It'll be an interesting scrap because obviously the difference in size and height and all that. It'd be an interesting one to watch.
You got David Nika also from New Zealand here on the undercard, and I believe obviously flown all the way from New Zealand was rugby's very own black. I forgot what I was going to say. Sonny Bill Williams has also arrived. Nice to see a little contingent of New Zealanders here and the Kiwis. Yeah,
it's great to have some home support. We're a bit lonely and cold up here, so to have some fellow New Zealanders here is good for the spirits, I guess.
Okay, Dave, well, just finally before I let you go, what's your final prediction for Saturday night? What happens and how does it end?
I think it'll be a good dust-up, and I'm picking Joseph Parker to stop him, and probably in the later rounds.
Okay, Dave. Well, thank you so much for giving me a few moments of your time. Any parties going on over the week, Dave, that I need to know about? Bring my camera and be actively scouting you.
I'm very much on the straight and narrow these days. Okay.
Dave, enjoy fight week. We've got the press conference in a couple of hours, weigh in tomorrow, and then roll on Saturday night.
Thank you.
Dave Higgins for IFL TV. Thank you very much.